I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and Dhaka specifically. And I came to Korea to study for the university, and I majored in like visual design.
So today's guest is Heeyun. Hi, Heeyun.
Hi.
I'm really glad you're here. I've known you for 5 years and you've been a great help for me. When I came to Korea, I spoke 0-word Korean and you translated all the time. So thank you for that.
Aww.
So before we started recording, we talked and then you said like you really believe that your 8-year-old self knows you better. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really curious of that insight and how you came up with this idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I think just to say that I need to kind of introduce myself a little bit to the viewers. And like, obviously she told you guys, but my name is Haley, or you could call me Heeyun Lee as well. And I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and Dhaka specifically. And I came to Korea to study for the university, and I majored in like visual design, which is like typography design and like graphic design combined. And I am currently working as a producer and designer and also a presenter in education IT company working with elementary school students. So I think for me, kids and children is my passion. So that's why I'm also interested in kids in general. And I'm also interested about looking back at my childhood to really figure out who I am as a person. So when it comes to making a life decision, and I'm really grateful till this point of my life, I know you make a lot of decisions. We have to make a lot of decisions. But I think till this point, I really made a right decision for myself. And looking back at my childhood, not only 8-year-old self, but I mean just overall childhood helped me immensely to make a right decision for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can really see that you're a presenter. You're doing this better than I do.
I
so
know.
much learning from you.
I know.
We just started this podcast. You're the second guest.
You're good.
I'm observing and learning.
Thank you.
Yeah, what you mean, I can really understand and relate to it. So I also do a lot of digging into my past to understand who I am today. So I'm really curious, like you grew up in Bangladesh. How were you as an 8-year-old?
Yeah, when I was a child, I think overall, because I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and the Dhaka that I was born and raised from was once ranked the most least livable city in the world. Maybe around it was like in 2018.
Do you know the reason why? Is it like criminality or like infrastructure?
Yeah, I think it was due to like its poor infrastructure, like and the air condition and about like the education stuff. And definitely for me, because I was born in 1996, so it was more kind of harder when I was born as well. So for me, but because I think I was born there, everything that was laid out for me was kind of normal. But so somehow like that poor infrastructure or that air pollution, etc., was somehow really adaptable because that was normal for me. But I think the biggest crisis, our whole family, and especially for me, what I had to face was like boredom. Boredom. It was like a biggest issue because there were no media to see and we didn't even have a television and there were no places to go. And we did have a friend, but there weren't many like the social gathering as well. So it was literally our family in my house. So we had to kind of figure out how to like have fun with like that limited space limited resources. So yeah, I think that was the biggest crisis. Yeah.
I see. So even your parents were pretty busy, right? Like they were running an NGO, so they didn't have much time to play with you.
Exactly. So my dad was a director in one of the NGO, and that was the whole reason our family went there. And yeah, my dad was pretty busy, but still every night he really kind of put aside his time to really play with us. But my mom was also a passionate woman as well, so she was doing her stuff, and so it was most of the time it was basically me. My brother, my sister, and me, because I'm the youngest. So my sibling and I had to really, know how to just spend that, utilize that time well.
How did you feel back then? Did you feel resentment about your situation? Were you angry or comparing yourself to other kids? I mean, back then there was probably you didn't have internet or TV, so you weren't like, oh, those rich kids in the US, I wish I was born there. Or how did you feel as a child about your situation?
Wow, I think that's a good thing about not having internet, because there's no comparison. So I think, I did not think that I was in a very unique situation. Sometimes my mom would say, oh, I'm so sorry that I brought you to Bangladesh. But for me, I had no comparison. Bangladesh was my hometown, so it was quite normal. But still, it was time to time, it was hard to adopt to that kind of circumstances. But I think our whole family really try to be just grateful for the condition or circumstances we have or we're given. So yeah.
So how did you try to overcome this boredom? I think you came up with very creative ways.
Yeah, so I think we kind of came up with different kind of plays. So on a rainy day, we would take a soap out of our bathroom.
So we is you and your
me and my siblings. Yes,
it's
exactly.
3 people.
Yes,
right?
3 people, and sometime our nanny.
I see.
Because my dad and my mom was quite busy, so we kind of had a nanny, and.
So you took out, it was a rainy day, you take out the soap?
Yes, we took out the soap out of the bathroom, and we would go out to the balcony, and our balcony was kind of open, so the water would drip in. So we would play the soap soccer.
Was it a big balcony? Could you run around?
It was a long balcony. So it was a good place to play soccer.
So you had 2 goals.
Yes, exactly. So and this water would drip in, so the more you play, the floor were getting really slippery, and bubbles were here and there, and
just to make sure the soap was the bowl, right?
Yeah, thank you. The soap was a bowl. The soap was a bowl, so we would have to it was a normal soccer game, but the bowl was a soap, so it was really fun, and it was really interesting to see my brother and my sister running or walking, they were trying so hard not to fall. So that itself was really entertaining.
And then bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, bubbles everywhere.
That sounds really romantic, actually.
I know, it does. So I think that we would create our own play and just use that very what you say very easily. We use that we use things in our household that is easily that you can find in our house.
Nice.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense, because I remember we played soccer together, against each other, and then you were running, and then also pushing people away, and then navigating the ball towards the goal. So now it all makes sense, because you started at a very young age.
I was trained
with a soap.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
I was trained in a very different way, but yeah. And also because my dad is an NGO director, we would have this during summer or during winter time. We would have this team that came, this university students that came for the volunteer work, and my dad would ask me and my siblings to do some kind of show at their last night of Bangladesh. So we would create the stories and like make puppets or make any things that were needed for the show. And I really, really loved, you know, making like puppets or making things for the show. And especially I loved like emceeing and acting out in front of people. And like when our family and them, they burst into laughter, I would feel like so satisfied. And I think that was my uniqueness. I think from that I kind of figure out that I really like creating something and presenting it to other, and also me acting out also was one of the uniqueness I had as a kid.
What I hear from your story is that you were very restricted with your resources, but then you got really creative. So that poverty or that environment where you didn't have access to media or other toys just helped you to become a creative person, which is amazing.
Yeah, true. I think if I were given all this well-made games or like videos that I can watch, I think I would not be who I am today. And I think those experiences really helped me to be really creative, think outside the box. And also looking back now, during those times, it was like not that easy, and I did not think that would be something I would be grateful about. But thinking about it now, I'm really grateful that I had limited resources, like to zero. like there are so many like different games and toys that is so well thought of, and that is so entertaining, that is so fun, that you can buy in the store here in Korea or anywhere in the world now. Also in Bangladesh, now there's like so much toys and so much games that you can buy in the shop easily. But I think because I had this lack of resources, I was able to really like be creative, think outside the box. And anytime when there's like this problem occurs, I don't complain, but directly, I think of what kind of solution I can come up to really solve this problem. So I think all this, what I think is like great, like the strengths I have in me were honestly like developed through that kind of circumstances. So I'm really grateful that I kind of had that childhood.
Yeah, what you're saying, like being grateful for what we have, I think that's so important for us to be happy. And as I see, like in this circumstance, you could like look at it as a curse, or you could look at it as a blessing.
Exactly.
And it's completely depending on your perspective. So maybe as like, for example, in my case, I also grew up in a poor environment, and back then I complained a lot about it, and I wasn't happy because I was like, oh, what if I was born in a rich family? But now I feel that it's really a blessing, because that taught me to fight for things and to not give up. And if you just grow up somewhere where everything is given, then you don't have this like drive. So I think we share a similar perspective of being grateful for what you have and see it as an opportunity and not as a
curse,
weakness or a curse.
True. Yeah. I am a firm believer of that, because I see a lot of people complaining about what they don't have. But honestly, I think because due to my background, I think that lack of something that you think that's lacking in your life is what makes you stronger. It's like a great opportunity for you to really develop through that lacking or through that scarcity of anything. I think everybody has to have a different environment, but I feel like if you only complain, you miss such a precious opportunity to really grow from there. So I think to my friends, and till this point of my life, I really also try to remind myself that when I start complaining, I think, Heeyun, if you start complaining, you're missing this great opportunity to learn. So, yeah.
That's why I told at the beginning, I think you're a wise person, and I really love your convictions. Like, yeah,
my conviction. I believe that. Yeah, you're making me blush, but thank you.
Yeah, your story reminds me of my childhood, like when I was like 8 years old, and so we lived in this house without electricity, as I mentioned. Like
me too.
I didn't have electricity
because Bangladesh, the whole house, like they turn off the electricity for like 8 hours or 10 hours.
I see. Wow, we didn't have at all. So it's like there was nothing to.
Not at all.
No. So we were using candles, or back then, like that's really ages ago. There was this oil lamp. It's like from the Stone Age.
Wow.
It was pretty romantic as well, like your bubbles. And then, so because we had no electricity, it was me and my brother and my parents, and we lived there for 3 years. And so we had no electricity. So when the sun went down and it got dark, we didn't have much to do. We also didn't have television, of course, and no internet. So what to do when you're bored, right? You come up with creative ideas. And what we did is we took like 2 round mirrors, hand mirrors, and one my brother, one me. And it was like moonlight. And so we projected the moonlight onto the wall, and we played this kind of like catch me if you can game. So I had to catch my brother's moonlight. And if I managed to catch it, then we turn it around, and then he had to catch mine. And
what a romantic game!
And then you can imagine like a candlelight next.
Oh my god, that is so romantic! Wow, I think this is so like so fascinating how these children come up with such a romantic and creative ideas, right?
Right. So I think 8-year-olds or even like older or younger, they are pretty creative about things.
And very romantic. Very romantic. Wow.
True. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like some of the viewers would kind of not relate with our situation because we're pretty young. So like most of them would have access of electricity for sure. But yeah, I think we had this unique environment.
Yeah. True.
But we love it. I mean, we became like a very strong creative woman today, so.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure like all of us, no matter in which environment we grew up, we had some kind of difficulties. Like even if you have electricity and if you have a lot of toys, you still like face different other challenges. So I think it still applies to all situations. Just to try to reconnect with your old self, with your child self. Like amazing soap sucker story.